I hope y'all ready for this. We've yet to feature a Ketuo knife on this channel, but today's your lucky day, because we have not one, but two killer Ketuos to look at, and these are sick knives, folks. You want to see these? Stick around. What it do, Cripple Crew? EDC with DBD, disabled but deadly, and yes, we've got two sick knives to look at today, so stab that like button, make sure you're subscribed, and we're gonna get into it, starting with the Ketuo Knives Griffin. The Griffin is a David Gin design and comes in with an overall length of 8.52 inches. Yes, this is a full-size knife, folks, with a 3.55 Harpoon, what they call Spear Point blade of PVD-coated M390 with a 3.12-inch cutting edge and a very generous finger choil. We have a closed length of... Oh, it doesn't say, so we will do math. Just under 5 inches closed length. We have a blade stock thickness of 140 thousandths, so it is a bit of a thicker blade, but it does get down to a slicey grind. We are operating on cage ceramic ball bearings and locked up with an awesome button liner lock. You can see that liner engaged. I press this button, it moves the liner out of the way. This gets you the finger safe locking peace of mind of a button lock and the fidgetiness while providing much, much stronger lockup. The blade is operated with either the rear flipper, one of the best front flippers I've ever seen because of the way that it curves back to you and just grabs your finger, or the blade hole, which works for the thumb or reverse flick. I mean, this is a true fidget beast. And all of these detents are dialed in because having a button operated liner lock means that we can have a regular detent ball. So that means that every method of deployment feels just as good as any of the rest. We've got sick milled carbon or milled titanium scales that are skeletonized to reduce weight in there. Let's see if we can get a view. There we go. We got pockets milled in there to reduce weight. And both sides have the forged carbon fiber inlays, which I really like that it's on both sides of the knife. We also have a tip up as the gods intended, really cool looking milled pocket clip. And this is one of the few brands that has done the name on the clip in a way that I don't dislike. This actually looks pretty good to me. And the pocket clip is reversible with a titanium filler plate. So, lefties rejoice. You can also use the Griffin with ease. Well, there we go. Look, I can even front flip that with my left hand. Not very many knives can I say that about. And then it just drops shut when you push that button. You can also, of course, open it with that button. The ergos on this thing are awesome. Having almost 5 inches of handle means that me, even with my extra large glove size hand, behind the pivot, I have so much room back here. So you could have a 2X, 3XL hand and still be able to fit the Griffin. I can choke way back here if I need some reach on the knife, and I'm still a full 4-finger grip. But where this knife really shines is throwing it up into a saber grip, either right here with your thumb on that thumb ramp that is jimped and really locks you in. This has some serious piercing ability in this grip. Or if I really want control over that blade, I can get into that generous finger choil, throw my thumb in the harpoon, and then I've got strength and control in my cuts. This M390 blade does come, whoop, I hit the sharpening choil, very sharp. And we are slicey even though we have a thicker blade stock. See if I can get another piece. This paper's about done. Even though we've got thicker blade stock, this is a very slicey knife. The size of the handle does lend itself for all types of use. You can turn the knife around to cut towards you, like cutting straps or something, very comfortably. And with this strong locking mechanism, even though I typically recommend using fixed blades for beef jerky defense, you use the knife that's on you. And if you're carrying the Ketuo Griffin, it is very comfortable in a beef jerky Avenger grip where I am capped off and protected by this finger guard here. And we do have jimping inside of there as well. I have no worries that I'm going to slip on any beef jerky juice on this titanium. And if I turn it around to a beef jerky defender grip, it's even more locked in because now I have the pocket clip in my hand. This shape lends itself very well to both EDC and beef jerky defense. With this drop here, we've got a tip that is below the center line of our pivot, which means it is not difficult to get down in a pinch grip and use that tip for really fine, detailed work. You can easily get your finger up on there in that pinch grip. It's really good. It's a good shape for doing any long slicing, stuff like that. But again, it is made for puncturing and piercing. We've got some strength in the spine all the way out to the tip. And if you have to use this self to puncture anything organic, let's just say that blade is going deep. This knife, 8.5 inches, 4.7 ounces. Full titanium build. It feels very good, and it is balanced right there, just in that forward finger position. All in all, I think the Griffin is a sick knife. Unfortunately, it is currently sold out, but the Mini Griffin is still a full-size EDC knife and is available right now for $195. Ketuo seems to be putting out some serious quality here, and you're going to see that in the next knife as well. But all in all, I gotta say, if you can get your hands on a Griffin, whether secondary or however, it is well worth checking out. I am a big fan. Let's go a couple of quick size comparisons for you. Let's throw out one that most people are familiar with, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2, and it is slightly longer than the PM2. How about another one people are familiar with, the CGRB Bowie Pyrite. It has quite a bit on the Bowie Pyrite. Just a couple of more and we'll move on. How about the Pickled Steel Warhog and the Kin Onion and Ketuo collaboration Carbon Knives Buckhorn, which comes in just a little longer than the Griffin. You're getting a review on this Buckhorn this week, and I gotta say, this is one of the nicest knives I've ever handled, by far. And it shows the capability and quality of Ketuo and Wright Knives Manufacturing. One last size comparison, and it's our next knife. This is the Ketuo Triad. And as you can see, the Triad is much more of a normal EDC size. Still a big full-size knife, coming in at 7.61 inches. We're going to move the Griffin out of the way and look at this Triad. 7.61 inches overall length with a 3.2 inch blade and a 2.93 inch cutting edge. Our blade, again, we're looking at a Harpoon clip point Tanto this time. We still got that Harpoon, and we're still in M390. So still a fantastic EDC blade steel. It is definitely a super steel. M390 is a Bowler powder metallurgy steel that gets high marks and edge retention, even better than MagnaCut. Decent stain toughness and very good stain resistance. We've got a beautiful compound grind on this M390 and a gorgeous stonewash finish. Our scale length, or our close length, is 4.41 inches. Our blade stock thickness is 120 thousandths, so more of a standard blade width, I would say. And our weight on this one is 3.2 ounces. This is a design by FD Knives. And we have full titanium liners, titanium backspacer with awesome milling that really feels great in the hand. We also have a titanium tip up, as the gods intended, milled pocket clip, again with Ketuo done on the pocket clip, and again, I don't mind it, with a reversible pocket clip, and we do have a titanium filler plate. This is their forged carbon fiber for the scales, and although it's not technically contoured, the way the edges are chamfered, it really feels like it in hand. This is also a little bit wider than you're typically used to at 56 hundredths from scale to scale. So over ½ inch wide, and that width feels great in the hand. Almost like fixed blade comfort. And I didn't say this on the Griffin, but it's the same thing as here on the Triad. That pocket clip gives me no hot spot whatsoever. We are again operating on cage ceramic ball bearings. We have thumb studs. We have a blade hole for flicking. And then we have a front flipper. Man, listen to that thwack. It just thwacks with those titanium scales. And one more time, we have a button-operated liner lock. So again, we have all the fidgetiness of a button lock with a lot more strength. And because we have that liner with a detent ball, we are well tuned, whoop, got my finger in the way, for all the opening methods. The thumb definitely works better on the stud than the hole, but you can do the hole. While the reverse flick, the hole works better than the stud because the stud is very tight to the scale, but I can still reverse flick off of that stud. I would say these studs could use a little bit more stepping because every once in a while I slip off of them, but it's not enough to complain about at all. And this jimping, it's not quite the jimping I look for usually. It does not go all the way up to the top and over. And the sides of this have been chamfered, so it's a little softer. All that means is you want to go lower on the front flip and push it over like such. If you go high on it, you're going to roll off. But if you go lower on it, it works every time and thwacks. This knife is not as good for the reach around because of how slick that front flipper is. I'm not going to keep trying with it. But some people might be able to do the reach around. For me, I would prefer this jimping to be more solid, faux show. Quick hardware check. We are T8 on the pivot and T6 on body and pocket clip screws. So if I had a couple of minor negatives about this knife, I would like these thumb studs to grab a little bit more. Again, it's not really an issue, but I would like them to be a little grippier. And I would love to see T8s because they're much less likely to strip than T6 hardware. And I would like to see this jimping done a little more aggressive. But it is not enough for me to not love this knife. The knife feels so good in hand. With my extra large size gloves, I have plenty of room in a hammer fist. That jimping, it's a little soft, but it does work in a saber grip. And then this finger choil is very comfortable, and you can rock up into that harpoon for some real nice control in your cuts. That hollow ground flat portion is very, slice properly, is very, very sharp. And our front, if I can get to it, our front flat grind is still slicey, but it gives us a lot more strength out at the tip for puncturing, as you can see. This being a clip point Tanto does bring the tip down a little bit lower. It's not quite center line with the pivot, but it's also not too difficult to get down in a pinch grip. You do have this secondary tip that you can use to open packages. However, I do want to mention that after your first sharpening, this secondary tip will probably disappear and you will have a regular clip point, just with a beautiful compound grind. So you'll probably just sharpen this like you would any other clip point. The sharpening choil and plunge grind is done pretty decent. They brought the plunge line way back. It does end right here. So you do have all of this sharpening life. And this being M390, you should not have to sharpen it very often. We'll look at that real quick on the Griffin. But with that giant finger choil, you know it's not going to be an issue. And this plunge grind is done perfectly. Look where it starts and ends. So all of this is sharpening life. You're not going to sharpen the life out of this knife. Let's see something. Okay, no. The stop pin hits right about here. So it's not going to, sharpening this is not going to affect the closing of the knife. We are going to check on the Griffin, and the Griffin, stop pin, as I smack everything. The Griffin stop pin, now it's going to look funky, oh well, lands right in here. So sharpening this is not going to affect the closing of your knife. The pivots are a little different. This one has a T8 pivot, while this has a flathead pivot and flathead body screws with T6 pocket clip screws. Very minimal hardware also, as you can see on the Griffin. The button, it is raised and it feels great. You depress it, the blade closes, and I am not squeezing that at all, hitting it at all in any of the grips. Great knife for lefties because the button is very easy to manipulate with your left index finger. And ergos are fantastic this way. If you want to flip it around and cut some straps, you've got a nice long straight edge to do that with. Again, because of the beefed up lock on this, this is much better than any regular button lock for beef jerky defense. And in a beef jerky Avenger grip, I am capped off. I can feel the jimping on that backspacer, and I don't feel like I'm going to slide on these carbon fiber scales, even with beef jerky juice. Flip it around into a beef jerky Defender grip, and I'm locked in even more because of that pocket clip. Awesome size for EDC. Let's give you a quick size comparison. We'll start off with the PM2 one more again, and the PM2 has quite a bit on the Triad. How about the CJRB Bowie Pyrite? About half an inch shorter. Let's look at the Warhog from Pickle Steel. Just a little shorter, so it's just longer than a Warhog. Very good EDC size, but full-size EDC, so you can use this even with XXL hands. I really love the acoustics from this knife and the comfort in hand. If I were to pick one of the two, I do personally prefer the Triad a little. I like the size of the Triad, and it goes in and out of pocket a little easier, and the lighter weight, especially when you carry as much EDC as we do, the lighter weight does help lessen your load. But I think both of these knives are fantastic, and I would be happy to own either one. Ketuo, this is my first experience. I'm glad I was able to bring these in via the pass around because they have blown me away. And that's before we get to the review of the Buckhorn. Do not sleep on Ketuo knives. They're not inexpensive, but they have the quality and workmanship to back that price up. I want to know which of these you really like, and if you own any Ketuo knives. I'm looking forward to seeing y'all on TNT, Thursday Knife Talks with DBD and War Room. Hope everybody has a killer day, night, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay frosty. Most importantly, stay deadly.